Hey friends, welcome back. I am Jason and I'm gearing up for a river trip. We're going to spend 3 days on a very small river that's hopefully going to eventually become a bigger river and eventually lead to the ocean. That's our goal. We're going to start in a tiny little creek and we're going to make our way all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. We're going to end up in Mobile, Alabama. Obviously, I don't have the flexibility, the freedom to just go on such an adventure from start to finish in one go because that would take, I'm guessing, a couple months at least to do that trip. At least a couple months, it would be my guess. But we're just going to do it in installments. We're going to do 3 days today, or 3 days starting tomorrow. And then we're going to see how far we get. And then the next time we're going to pick up exactly where we left off. And we're just going to keep chipping away at this big trip until we make it to the ocean. My gear is going to go in this dry bag right here. I have a couple other dry bags around, but for some reason I cannot find them at all. So I'm limited to this one right here from Roaring Fire. They make okay stuff. This bag is waterproof. It does work quite well for that. But the straps and stuff I'm not a huge fan of. But it is going to be pretty important to be able to strap a backpack on my back because my guess, the first few days of this trip, maybe longer, is going to be a lot of walking through the river instead and dragging. We're doing stand-up paddle boards, by the way, the whole way. And we're going to be dragging the paddle boards. We're going to be walking a lot, and it's going to be a big advantage to be able to take your bag off of the board and put it on your shoulders and carry it like a backpack. I thought about just taking my normal, hold on, wait for it. This is my normal pack. If you've watched my videos, this is my Tara Humara pack. I thought about just keeping it loaded up like I normally do, and then literally cramming it inside of this dry bag right here. And that's, one way of doing it. But I think just to save weight, save space, I'm just gonna ditch that. And I'm gonna go straight with this bag right here. So that's kind of my plan. But right now, one of the things that I wanted to do is get my belt stashed back up. This is my Wazoo cash belt. And it has been used and abused. I've used a lot of the stuff out of here, and I'm not that diligent about replacing the stuff in there. So I've got a brand new adventure kit right here. I've got a few other miscellaneous supplies thanks to Dustin from Wazoo. And I'm gonna refresh my belt here. And I'll bring you in. Starting off here, here's my water kit. That's probably fine. I keep a water bag in here and cash, literally cash money right there. There's a couple $100, and then some water purification tablets. And that's probably still good to go if I had to guess. Those bags are pretty durable. So I'm just going to leave that one. I don't know. Look at all the crap inside my belt. Look at that. I don't know. I could put a brand new one in there, but that would require me unrolling everything. I think I'm just going to keep rolling with that one for a while. Next time I re-up my bag, I'll go ahead and replace that one. But I think it's going to be okay for now. So I got more water purification tablets. Those are all powdery by now, undoubtedly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to steal the water tablets out of this one. Right there. And that gives me another half gallon of water to purify. This is some brass wire that I have opened up and I have used. So I'm going to go ahead and swap that out for a freshie. That's upstairs. Let's go raid my drawer upstairs and see what we've got. Eli's making a shield. Let's see it. See what we're dealing with here. Nice. Is this to ward off any attackers? Both fictional and real?
Make a shield to go with one of my swords.
If you're making a sword, you got to have a shield. Everybody knows that. All right. So some brass wire. I'm pretty sure I've got an unopened one. Ha! Look at that. I do. That was easy to find. Some more supplies, zip ties and such. You know what? There's something I don't have in my belt is zip ties. I think I might stick those in there. Zip ties are pretty dang handy from time to time. So I'm gonna take 2 of those, stick those in my belt. A couple of fire starters would be good. Some little tinder tabs, or the what do you call it? Fire plugs. There's a couple right there. Watch it, chicken. Ooh, some brand new cordage. I'm definitely going to swap out my cordage. So I've used this quite a few times, actually. This is 400-pound test Technora cord. I've used that quite a bit. So I'll keep this as some spare, but I'm going to start with some fresh cordage right there. My little tackle kit has been dug into. So here's some sinkers, some safety pins, fish hooks, needles and such. I'm going to go ahead and replace that. Got a freshie. I need the fishing line. Like so. Some extra tabs, water purification tabs. I got a button compass. Let's see if it still points north. And it does. These little button compasses are great, but it's all scuffed up from being in my belt for a long time, a couple years probably. So I'm going to put a freshie in there. And I like to keep it in this portion of my belt because it's right in the front. And if I want to grab that to use as a little bit of a navigation tool, there it is. Oh yeah, I got another one. There's another one right there. So we got that. Our little flashlight. Bingo, that's going in for sure. That gets used all the time. Whistle. Some fire plugs. Zip ties, I'll just slip in there wherever. Probably could be a little bit more organized with this, but ceramic, I'll put my ceramic blade there and the ferro rod, this oxidized and whatnot. I'm gonna put a fresh one in there. Oh, the duct tape. We gotta find room for duct tape. Here's my EDC stuff, you know, a lighter with some duct tape on it. Ready to go. I gotta get rid of that child safety nonsense. Let's get that out of there. Go. I got a couple pieces of cordage. Cordage is always handy for lots of things, especially on water trips. Tying the boards up to things, and a tow rope so you can pull it through the water. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Just having a little bit of cordage. These are short sections, like 6-8 footers, something like that. I'll have my wallet. Not that we are going to encounter any, I mean, there's probably zero reason why I should carry this. I can't think of a reason why I should carry this. We are not going to encounter any civilization whatsoever the first few days on this trip. So that's a guaranteed. We're going to be in probably one of the most remote sections that exists in the state of Georgia. So there won't be anything to spend money on or no one to show my ID to or anything like that. Anyway, first aid kit. Going to bring that. I'm in charge of that. There's two of us going, so we're kind of divvying up supplies a little bit so we don't have to both carry redundancies. And I've got the first aid kit. This one's from Refuge Medical, and it's a really good one. And then my metal container here with all my little tidbits and bits and bobs and stuff like that. Fire starters and electrolyte replacements in there. Batteries and such for my flashlight go in there. Just little stuff. My machete, that's going to be kind of probably an important one on this trip if I had to guess. Logs and trees and branches and brambles and briars and rhododendron thickets and stuff, and it's probably going to be pretty difficult in some stretches to get the boards through. So having a tool like this is probably going to be pretty handy if I had to guess. I'm going to take either a tarp or just my poncho. I'm not going to take both because I'm limited on space. I might just take my bivy bag here, a ground pad, and my poncho, and just sleep on the ground. But where we're going to be, it's pretty rough terrain, really steep. The slopes on the sides of the stream sometimes are really steep, and sometimes it's going to be difficult. Well, not sometimes. It will be difficult to find a flat spot to lay down, so I might go hammock. I just need to find my favorite hammock. It's around here somewhere. And then I might use this. This is a piece of vinyl floor underlayment, stuff that you put underneath a vinyl floor, and it gives a little bit of padding, noise dampening, insulation from that Mylar coating there. And I'm going to lay on top of this in my hammock or on the ground. And it takes up very little space as compared to like an inflatable pad or it's really light and it doesn't weigh as much as an inflatable pad, and it doesn't take up as much space as one of those accordion style thermarests. So I might just take that because it's not going to be that cold. The 50s is probably what it's going to be at night if I had to guess, but it is going to be damp in the down by the creek in the bottom. So having some insulation is going to be good for that. I'm going to have, hopefully I have enough room to bring this sleeping bag right here. This is a down Big Agnes sleeping bag. Really, really small, lightweight one. It says Lost Ranger 3-in-1 20 degrees Fahrenheit. That's if you use all of the bags, like this in conjunction with the top quilt that comes with it. This bag all alone by itself, I think is like a 50-degree bag. So, but that should be fine for this trip. Inside of here is a wool cap, long johns, top and bottoms, and socks. And that is what I'm going to be sleeping in. I'm going to be wearing pretty much, you know, basically what you see right here as I paddle all day long, and I'm going to be soaking wet, 100% guaranteed from trudging through the creek and being sweaty and stuff, or if it rains. But at night, when I'm ready to go to bed, I want to have dry clothes to slip into, and so I can be comfortable and get a good night's rest, so we can, and then put on the wet, nasty stuff the next day and start trudging through the river again. Real nice Filson waxed canvasy hat right there. That's gonna be my adventure hat for the trip. I'll take the Grail water filtration right there. Fresh, clean water. I've got a compass. Navigation's really not gonna be that big a deal. We're just gonna head downstream. That's it. There's not really any navigating to be done other than when it's time to leave, when it's time to get picked up somewhere. We're gonna find some place to get out of the creek and then get picked up. And it's going to be important for us to be able to communicate with somebody to where to get us. And that's where this is going to come into play. So I'm not necessarily going to use this for navigation purposes, but I'm going to be able to send a text message to my wife via satellite to let her know where we are and when she can get us. Or, you know, if we're going to be late or something like that. So I've got this juiced up, ready to rock. I almost never use this thing, almost never carry it. But on trips like this, it's pretty handy to have, mostly for that for the communication factor, because without cell phone service, it's not going to be a thing to send text messages. So that's how I'm going to be able to do that. And then the SOS beacon, if something should go wrong, one of us gets hurt, it's nice to have that insurance policy right there. My On3 EDC, got a little fishing kit on there, but I'll probably bring that, most likely. That's generally on my hip. Found it. That's my favorite little hammock, just an inexpensive Grand Trunk hammock. The other one I have is the 5-star gear one. That one's okay. They're about same size, similar in size and weight, but I just like the simplicity of the straps on this one a little bit better. Anyway, so there's that. That's going to be my hammock. I've got a larger tarp here, bigger than a poncho, keep me a little bit more dry from if it should rain on us. So I'll probably take those two right there. If I've got room for it, I'll take my poncho, but I rarely leave home without the poncho. So, but we'll see if we just have room for it. So let's see here. In the bag first is probably going to be my sleeping bag, because I'm going to need that last. Not going to be digging in there very much throughout the day. But the last thing that I'll need is probably that. My buddy Gregory is bringing the food, so I don't have to pack the food, which is nice. Sleeping bag in, just crammed in there. Extra down jacket right here if it should get chilly at night. Sleeping in a hammock at night it's a little bit deceiving. So you think that it's pretty warm when you get in there, but as the night comes, you know, it drops down in the 50s, the low 50s perhaps, and maybe there's a little breeze and that damp creek bottom. It gets a little bit chilly. So it's always better to have too many layers and have some options than to not have enough and then shiver all night long. It just keeps you awake, you know. It's not like the end of the world, but you just don't get rested well, and then mistakes happen, and then injuries happen, and nobody has time for that. I've also got this big cloth right here. I might bring that. I really don't think that I'll need that for any purpose, but it's really handy to have a big cloth just for whatever, extra bandage material or improvised sling if we should get hurt, just cover up an extra layer of warmth and to dry off at night before I put on my dry clothes. It might be nice to have a towel to dry my body off so I can be nice and dry before I go to bed. So that's gonna go in the maybe pile. Here's the definite pile. Got to haves right here. Here's the want to haves right here. Don't need that because we've got one in there already. Want to haves, got to haves right there. Gotta haves. There we go. That stuff's all gonna go. When you're doing water activities, it's generally not a good idea to have things in your pockets because what started in your pockets might end up in the bottom of the sea somewhere. So at least that's in my experience, unless there's like zippers. Like I've got one pocket here that I've got a zipper on and I might use that. But otherwise, you know, that might be where I put this kind of EDC stuff is in that zipper pocket. But otherwise, I don't want stuff in my pockets if I'm in the water. So, but that's going to be there on my person. There's my belt. Compass is definitely going. First aid kit's definitely going. This is going. Bivy bag, probably not absolutely necessary, but that's the want to have pile. This sleep pad, gonna bring that. Extra clothes to sleep in, definitely bringing that. Payday. My emergency food ration, that's coming. Garmin InReach Mini, that's coming. Grail filter, that's coming. Adventure hat, that's coming. So that'll be on my body. What do we need to fit in the bag? This needs to go on top because if it's an emergency, we need it in a hurry. Shelter stuff can go on the very bottom, so I'll cram that in right now. Tarp can get crammed in. Top of the sleeping bag. Hammock. Dry clothes in a semi-dry bag. Make sure that stays nice and dry. This can go in there. Kind of slip that inside, perhaps. Actually, this might be good to put like where my back will be when I carry it. Probably should put that in there first, but let's see if I can just slip that in there. I've got to back up my button compass on my belt, so that'll be on my person. This will be the one that'll go in my pack. So I'll slip that in here like that. This could be weeded down. I could do a little something different with this. I could take a few items out of here perhaps. But I do like, there's like a knife sharpener and there's a lot of stuff in there that's kind of handy to have. This you got to be a little bit careful with, poking holes and such. So what I might do, because my dry bag, I don't want to have a hole in there. Or maybe even, yeah, maybe even wrap it up in this cloth. That might be a good purpose for that. A sleeping bag. I've got a hammock. I've got a tarp. I've got my multi-purpose cloth that I can use as a towel kind of deal in there with my metal canteen cup that I can boil water in, pour in Mountain House meals, which is what we're bringing. I've got a sleep pad to lay on my hammock to keep me a little bit warmer. First aid kit's going to go on top with the emergency ration in case we get low on energy. This is going to be clipped to me, or maybe right on the outside of my pack there. Probably to me be the smartest thing. I mean, I'm not going to lose the board. It's a really small little river that we're getting in to start with. It's not like it's going to get washed downstream and I'll never be able to find it again like it would in a bigger stream. Eventually that might be a thing, but not in this situation. So I might just clip this on my bag. Who knows? Anyway, I don't think the bivy bag's going to make it just for space reasons. And honestly, I don't think I'm going to need it. I've got the tarp. I've got a good tarp to keep me out of the rain. And I think that we're going to be fine. It'd be nice to have extra shelter in case it does really start storming, but probably not necessary. And I just don't think we're going to have room for it. I could minimize this first aid kit a little bit more. I could take some stuff out of here and make this a little bit smaller, but you just never really know, and it might be nice to have all that stuff in here. Ooh, I could get rid of that. I could get rid of the outer pack and slim that down a little bit. like that. And there's that. That's our first aid kit. We'll get like a little bungee or something to keep the, I might just sit on top just like that. Maybe stick that in my pocket would probably be the smartest thing to do. I think that's all I'm gonna need to bring. I'll smush all the air out of this. Like that. Give it a roll. Smush a little bit more. Give it another roll. And as long as I can get a couple rolls out of it, and still be able to buckle it, we're gonna be in business. There we go. Oh, when I'm dragging the board through the water, I could take this off of the front of the board. It'll be typically riding on the board and not on me. I can take this off, put it on my back, and then drag the board through all the down trees and stuff that no doubt we're gonna encounter. So I think that's it. This is the stuff that I wanted to bring, but not gonna have room for. The nice to haves, but not gonna have kind of thing. So there is that. Put this stuff in my hat. So I'm packed up. So I've covered all the bases. I always go through kind of a checklist in my mind when I'm packing for stuff like this, or really anything. Food, check. We're gonna have all the food that we need. Fire, I've got multiple ways to start fire. Multiple Bic lighters, I got ferro rods and all the stuff. Tinder tabs, fire plugs. I think I've even got some Vaseline and cotton ball in my little metal tin. So fire, water, I've got a grill, water purifier, water filter, and then I can also boil water in my canteen cup, no problem. And the water that we're gonna be in is fresh and clean and clear as it gets. So that's, you could probably just drink, and I have drank straight out of this river before and never had an issue. And then for shelter, got a nice tarp. I've got my hammock, sleep pad. If something's happened in my hammock, I could always just sleep on the ground. And then that's pretty much it. And I could always, improvise a way to use my big paddleboard as some sort of roof if I had to. I've done that before as well. Shelter, first aid, got it. Communications, got it. Security, got it. And we'll also have other means of security as well. I think that pretty much sums it up. We're ready for the river. Anyway, love to hear what you guys think. Did I pack all of the stuff that I need? What do you think about adventures like this? Is it too risky? Is it dumb? Unnecessary risks. I love adventure. I crave it deep down in my soul, and I love stuff like this, little mini adventures like this that eventually accumulate into something big. So let me know what you think in the comment section, guys. I really do appreciate it. Look forward to seeing the adventure that's coming up in the next week or two. You'll see footage from that and all the shenanigans that we get into along the way. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.